Okay, I'll call the Murray City Council meeting to order. We'll begin with the opening of the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I've asked Denise Steck to lead us. Denise?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Denise. We'll now move to the approval of the minutes. We have two, December 5th and December 12th. Could I have a motion on that?
Do you want to take them together?
Yes, let's do that, please.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the council meeting of December 5th and December 12th, 2017.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Item 5.3, a special recognition. We'll consider a resolution of the Municipal Council of Murray City expressing gratitude and appreciation to Blair Camp for the contributions to the community as a city council member. Diane Turner will be presenting.
I'm on my way.
All right. Take your time.
I know you thought Christmas was over, didn't you? Not for the mayor. Okay, a resolution of the Municipal Council of Murray City expressing gratitude and appreciation to D. Blair Camp, also known as Blair, for his contributions to the community as a city council member. And now we have a lot of whereases, so be patient with me. Whereas Blair Camp took the oath of office on January 7, 2014, becoming Murray City District 2 council member, and faithfully served until September 19, 2017, when he was unanimously appointed interim mayor by the Murray City Council. And whereas prior to the council election, Blair served the citizens of Murray City as a firefighter for over 25 years, successfully culminating his career as fire chief. He served as president of the Utah State Chiefs Association and completed the requirements to become an executive fire officer through the National Fire Academy. And whereas Blair brought an exceptional understanding of municipal government to this position with a level of knowledge, wisdom, and expertise that was evident in every decision made. And whereas Blair met with numerous residents and business owners, taking the necessary steps to help resolve complex issues as they arose for his constituents, always seeking to improve the health, welfare, safety, and quality of life for Murray citizens. And whereas during Blair's tenure as a council member, he stepped forward to serve as chair of the City Council, vice chair of the Redevelopment Agency, president of the Municipal Building Authority, and committee member on the Capital Improvement Program Committee and Business Enhancement Committee. And whereas Blair represented Murray City on the government boards of the Valley Emergency Communications Center, Metro Fire, and Murray Area Chamber of Commerce. And whereas Blair served in each capacity with dignity, uncompromising integrity, and genuine dedication on behalf of Murray City, ensuring benefits that leave our community a better place to work and live. And whereas Blair brought his savvy technology proficiency to the City Council and enhanced transparency through his initiation of video streaming council meetings, where we have witnessed firsthand how viewing meetings has stimulated involvement in the municipal process, and whereas Blair's perfect attendance record over the last 4 years is evidence of his dedication to the residents of Murray City, and whereas Blair was a mentor to many, a friend and colleague with a creative and entertaining sense of humor that was sure to elicit a chuckle. And I've had many. And whereas the Murray City Council desires to honor and express its appreciation for the dedicated work and service performed by Mr. Camp as an elected council member, and now, therefore, be it resolved by the Municipal Council of Murray City that the city expresses its most sincere appreciation and gratitude to Blair Camp for his years of service and contributions that are recognized now and into the future. Do I have?
Yeah. Do you want to make a motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Would you, Dave, do you?
Yes, take a motion.
Oh, I'm over here thinking Dave was going to make it. He's conducting.
Oh, please, Brett.
Okay, thanks, Dave. I'll move to approve a resolution of the Municipal Council of Murray City expressing gratitude and appreciation to D. Blair Camp for his contributions to the community as a city council member.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a second.
I seconded.
Okay.
Aye.
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 All right, this has been passed, approved, and adopted this second day of January 2018.
Okay. You want to come to
Thank
the
you.
podium, Mayor?
And this is a token of our gratitude and how much we appreciated and how much I have appreciated serving with you. You're wonderful.
Thank you so much.
All right. Would you like to say something, or?
I've said a lot today already. I was just holding my breath for all the votes, and well, thank you for. I have enjoyed working very much with the council. Look forward to working in this capacity with the council now. And Dale, congratulations on taking the seat there in the best council district. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. All right.
I know the whole family was here earlier, but Paula did come back, so I just wanted to recognize my
Yes.
wife Paula here.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Okay. Concluding that, we'll move to item 5.32, swearing in new Murray City police officers, Court Peterson and David Smith. My understanding, we may be minus one officer, but if you'll take charge, Chief.
Sure, thank you. Got Court Peterson here. We've got Court Peterson and David Smith, both recently graduated from the police academy and have started working with us. Unfortunately, due to a scheduling conflict, Officer Smith isn't here. We'll make sure he's all set up and they're already out working. And you know, this is exciting for us because with these two, we are at full staff. And I shouldn't say that out loud, right?
Hey! Wow.
But this is a good thing, you know, and we're excited to have them out and working with us. You know, the exciting thing about it is they both come from law enforcement pedigree. Smith's father-in-law is a deputy with Tooele County, and Court's got uncles and aunts and cousins, and I think they're all cops in his family. I think they're Irish from New York, but we're excited to have them here. So we'll go ahead and swear in Court.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Court William Peterson,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support,
obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and perform the duties of my office
and perform the duties of my office
as a Murray City Police Officer
as a Murray City police officer
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Okay.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Okay. We'll now move to the citizen comments period of our meeting. Now, if you're here for one of the public hearings, one of 4 public hearings we're having later, you don't want to share now. But if you have something other than that, please feel free to take up to 3 minutes and make your comments. Citizen comments. Please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name's Phil Markham, 5767 South River Park Drive. We have to say that in planning and zoning, so just to keep the
Thank you,
record straight.
Phil.
I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you for considering me for a 3rd term to serve on the Planning and Zoning Commission. If approved, this would finish out 9 years on the commission for me, so I'm looking forward to that, if you so desire. Also, recently, we've received copies of the petitions that have been circulating concerning the park up on the east side of the city, up on Vine Street, the DeSera property. I would really encourage you to try and find a way to take advantage of this parcel. These don't come up very often. Parks are very important. Murray City is a city of parks, and I think this would be an excellent way to help bring these people that have been annexed into the city to feel more a part of the overall community in that. I think it's very important. And lastly, the Parks and Recreation Master Plan is long overdue for an update. And I would encourage you to find funding in the budget for this coming year to provide an update for that if you can. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Phil. Just state your name and address for the record.
Sure. My name is Dan Adams. My address, I'm with a business of NeighborWorks Salt Lake at 4843 South Poplar Street. I'm the director of the Murray office of NeighborWorks Salt Lake. I was recently hired in September 2017 to oversee activities here in Murray and to oversee all lending activities for the organization. As you may know, NeighborWorks Salt Lake works with Murray City to provide home improvement loans and services and rehabilitation of existing homes, making them affordable to home buyers earning up to 120% of the area median income. NeighborWorks Salt Lake is currently working with homeowners on 2 home improvement loans in Murray, which are expected to be completed soon. In addition, we are rehabilitating 2 Murray homes, which we expect to complete in the next month or so. NeighborWorks Salt Lake also provides other services that includes home buyer development and education, community building, youth works, real estate development, and community and business economic development. We at NeighborWorks Salt Lake appreciate our partnership with Murray City and express appreciation for Murray residents that serve on our advisory board. I wanted to express a special appreciation to Tim Tingy, who works for Murray City and serves on our advisory board as well as our board of directors. In this new position, I hope to get to know the council better as I attend your council meetings and to identify opportunities to increase home ownership within the city and other housing opportunities. We also at NeighborWorks Salt Lake wanted to congratulate Mayor Blair Camp in his new position, as well as council members Del Cox and Diane Turner on their recent election. I look forward to getting to know the remaining city council members, and thank you for letting me take a few minutes today to introduce myself.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no others, we'll bring it back to the council. It's now time for our consent agenda. If there are no objections, I'll take these appointments together, items 7.1 through 7.7. Let me begin by reading each of them. 7.1, consider confirmation of the mayor's reappointment of Becca Spute to the Arts Advisory Board in an at-large position for a 2-year term to expire on January 15, 2020. 7.2, consider confirmation of the mayor's appointment of Pamela Benson to the History Advisory Board in an at-large position for a 3-year term to expire on January 1, 2021. 7.3, consider confirmation of the mayor's reappointment of C.J. Culp to the Murray City Center District Design Review Committee in an at-large position for a 3-year term to expire on January 1, 2021. 7.4, consider confirmation of the mayor's appointment of Ned Hacker to the Planning and Zoning Commission in an at-large position for a 3-year term to expire on January 15, 2021. 7.5, consider confirmation of the mayor's reappointment of Philip Markham to the Planning and Zoning Commission representing District 1 for a 3-year term to expire on January 15, 2021. 7.6, consider confirmation of the mayor's reappointment of Travis Ney to the Planning and Zoning Commission representing District 4 for a 3-year term to expire on January 15, 2021. And 7.7, consider confirmation of the mayor's reappointment of Scott Woodbury to the Planning and Zoning Commission in an at-large position for a 3-year term to expire on January 15, 2021. I'll take a motion for approval. Unless there's any discussion.
I would like to know, are any of the people on the agenda here?
Phil?
Okay.
I'm here, Ned Hacker, for recommendation to be on the planning commission.
Awesome. Thank you, Ned.
Phil Markham, as stated, for reappointment to the planning commission.
Thank you, Phil.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, I would make a motion that we adopt the consent agenda as read.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded.
Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Mr. Ross?
Aye.
Turner?
Aye.
Mr. Howe?
Aye.
Mr. Naponski?
Aye.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mayor.
may I just say a couple of words about these appointments and reappointments?
You bet.
First of all, I want to express appreciation to those who have been reappointed and are willing to continue serving. The Planning Commission, Phil, is a tough job, and thank you. And having said that, I hope you had the opportunity to look in your packet and look at the resumes of our 2 new appointments. First of all, Ned Hacker, who is here for the Planning and Zoning Commission. If you looked at his resume, you saw that he's has over 20 years with the Wasatch Front Regional Council, both as a planning engineer and director of operations. And Ned also has been serving on our MCCD Overlay District Committee. So he brings some real great expertise to the Planning Commission, and we appreciate that very much. Also, Pamela Benson for the History Advisory Board. If you notice that she has a BA in history, as well as 13 years experience as a docent for the state capitol, and spent 13 years organizing and giving tours and meeting with legislators at the city capitol, at the state capitol, not the city capitol. This is the city capitol, right? Anyway, another really great person to have serving. And I just wanted to point that out and express appreciation to all those who serve on all of our boards and commissions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay. We'll now move to the public hearing portion of our meeting. Public hearing
Thanks, Phil.
8.1. Consider an ordinance amending section 17.170.080 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to the percentage of coverage allowed for accessory buildings in the Murray City Center District. River Park Development applicant, Jim McNulty presenting.
Thank you, Council. So this is a text amendment to our land use ordinance, specifically section 17.170.080. To get a little more specific or drill down, we also add item D2 to that. Currently within our code, it states the following accessory structures and buildings which are customarily used in conjunction with and are incidental to the principal uses and structures are permitted. And then it gives 2 items. Item 1, parking structures, and item 2, other accessory buildings which do not in aggregate have a footprint greater than 25% of the footprint of the main buildings on a development parcel. So just going through the requests briefly, The applicant is here tonight, Mark Bennett, representing River Park Development in behalf of the Center Court Apartments. They submitted an application to amend the land use ordinance, that specific section, the text. Basically, it would just change the 25% allowance to 50%. So they're asking to double the allowance for accessory structures on a specific parcel or site. This particular proposal was reviewed by our Murray City Center District Design Review Committee, including Ned Hacker and other architects, land planners, and design professionals make up our DRC, that committee. They reviewed that on October 27th, the submittal as proposed by the applicant, and recommended denial to the Planning Commission of such a text amendment. Later, on November 16th of 2017, after November 17, we're now in 18, January 2nd, the Planning Commission held a public hearing, took that recommendation into account, held the public hearing, listened to public comment, deliberated amongst themselves, and they decided to also recommend denial of the text amendment to the City Council. On December 12th of 2017, we had a discussion in the Committee of the Whole meeting and discussed this item and talked about this particular proposal with the Council and Mayor Camp as well. And then tonight, January 2nd of 2018, we have the specific public hearing. I believe the applicant's here, and there may be some others that want to speak to this item, but you know, we are recommending denial of the text amendment, as well as the MCCD Design Review Committee, our Planning Commission that held a public hearing on November 16th. And do you have any comments for staff? That's all I have on this particular item.
Any questions for Jim? Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jim. Any public questions or input? State your name and address.
You bet. My name is Scott Benyon. I'm affiliated with the Center Court Apartments, 4916 Center Street. I'm here. Mark Bennett, who planning mentioned, was here. He's actually sick today, so I'm here partially in his place. I'm the asset manager for this property. We've owned this for less than a year. One of our desires is to provide covered parking for this apartment complex, which you're likely aware is all senior citizens. For whatever reason, when this was developed, it wasn't provided with covered parking. Fortunately, we're able, per the code, to cover some of it. Our desire is to cover all of it. Not knowing the process of Murray City, we're not aware if this is the only way we can get to covered parking, but our desire is to provide covered parking for all of our residents, to provide better safety in the winter, as well as better shade in the summertime. Most of you may be aware, most cases of, as a property manager, I can attest that most of the cases of slip and falls that occur in parking lots over the winter are upon exiting and entering a vehicle, which is what we're attempting to cover. As you clear the cars, snow falls in between the vehicles, and that's hard to take care of. So we fully request that you consider this matter and that you provide us the ability to cover all of the parking, if not through this mechanism, through another mechanism that we may do so. I thank you for your time and your service, as well as the service and time of the staff and the Planning Commission up until now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ann Royce. I'm the on-site manager, and I work on a daily basis with the residents of Center Court Apartments. I just want to speak on behalf of the residents and just kind of express that we're concerned with their safety in the parking lot. We want to be able to provide for them the safety to be able to get in and out of their vehicles and not worry about having any sort of accidents or injuries. As a senior citizen, obviously that's a big concern because healing is much more difficult. But we have a good representation of some of our residents here, and if any of you would like to come and speak, we'd like to invite you to. So.
Yeah, we should distribute that form to the two people that have already commented. If you'll come forward afterwards and grab a form after this speaker, fill that out and turn it in so we have it for the record. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Shanna Henderson. I am a resident of the city center, and I would like you to really consider the covered parking. With each of us, you have to realize we're in our golden years, and we have the opportunity to do a lot of fun things, and also to, you know, socialize and also use, you know, the facilities that are so given to us. But we would also like to have the consideration of covered parking for safety concerns. Each and every one of us are to the point in our life in which everybody is going to be there shortly, if not sooner than expected. But we really need to consider the safety. We have wheelchairs, we have canes, we have walkers. And if we don't have that covered parking, especially during the winter, it becomes inaccessible to those who actually want to get to their vehicle. So once again, I just ask you to really consider it for those of us that need it.
Thank you. If you'll grab a form here.
My name is Ken England. I'm associated with the Center Court Apartments at 4916 Center Street. I know there's a number of residents here who are very interested in the outcome of your vote, and I think it's probably worth just a quick minute to explain what we're trying to do is just simply put carports in. It's we found out that we're limited with some surface areas, and as Scott mentioned to begin with, maybe there's a different way, but we're not sure how to do that, so we followed this path. If the City Council has another recommendation on how we can get covered parking for the residents, we would. I'm associated with the owner. I'm the owner's representative for the property, and we have raised the capital necessary to cover all of the parking stalls. As Scott mentioned, we have approval for a portion of them, but we'd like to cover all of them because all the senior citizens that live there deserve the safety that this covered parking will provide. So if this amendment is the way to do it, then we'd like your affirmative vote. If there's a different way, another exception way, or some granting of special condition, then that would be fine too. So we'll leave it into your wise hands as to how best to accomplish the parking, covering the parking. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have a question. I wonder when senior centers or assisted living centers were first allowed in the MCC district. Was this looked at? Does anybody know if this issue was looked at covered parking when these things were allowed? I know assisted living centers were not even allowed in the MCC district until about a year ago. So I know this isn't an assisted living center, but it is a senior center. So that should have been taken care of. I just wonder if we should look back at what we are allowing in the Murray City Center District, and if they need, because we already have a rule that there's only a certain amount of covered parking that can be allowed.
Wasn't going to speak. My name is Janice Strobel. I live at 4912 Wasatch, and I was one of those that was involved when Center Court Apartments was first being proposed to be put into this area. And a big concern that the neighborhood had, and those that were concerned about it, was the density that there was on this small street. That we were really concerned about the parking in that, as we understand it, and if I think I'm pretty correct, there was allowed 1.2 parking spaces per unit. And that included the retail spaces that were down below, and the on-street parking was comprised that 1.2. So we'll never get those on-street parkings to be covered, is my understanding. So we're going to always have an issue with this. for this property, being able to have everyone that lives there, and if they all have cars, to have that. And I'm guessing, rather than a zoning change, the owners might want to ask if there's a way they can get an exemption. That's my thoughts. Thanks.
Okay. Seeing no further comments, Jim, could you come, or Tim, and explain why we are recommending a denial on this?
Yep.
Thank you.
Tim Tingey, Director of Administrative and Development Services. So regarding some of the questions or issues that have been brought up, this zoning standard of the 25% for accessory structures, which is actually typical in mixed-use zones, and we even restrict those in residential zones as well. It's been in place since the MCCD was adopted. And so it applies to every land use in this area. It's not specific just for apartments. It's not specific for assisted living. It's a requirement of the code. The only option to modify that or change it is to go through this land use text amendment. It's a standard, therefore a variance or an exemption is not allowed because it's a standard outlined in the code. Regarding the reasoning for this, I understand the concerns that have been brought up, appreciate the concerns that have been discussed. However, this area is not an area that is a multifamily residential area that's specifically for apartments. It's an area that is a dense area, an urban center area. The vision for the area includes, allows that dense development and trying to promote having parking in parking structures within the envelope of the building or within a structure. If this is changed by the council, it changes that vision for this area. That dense element, the parking standards, the pedestrian-oriented goals that we have in this area, it modifies that and creates more of a multifamily area where you would see in most multifamily residential areas the covered parking. So one of the reasons why we recommended a denial as staff, Planning Commission, as well as the Design Review Committee is because of the vision for this area for pedestrian-oriented dense development and raising the limit of these accessory structures does not coincide with that vision. One other point is we do allow covered, some of the covering of these parking areas. It's not completely limited. There is 25% allowed. There's allowance for parking in the envelope of the building. And my only last comment is you make this modification, it's a modification to the ordinance which will apply to the whole area. So it will change that vision for the area, and that's what concerns us.
Very good. Thank you, Tim. Okay, we'll close the public hearing portion of our meeting and come to the council. Do we have discussion or questions? If not, I'll accept the motion for denial.
No, it's a difficult subject. I spent last winter on crutches, so I now have a whole bunch of screws and a plate in my left foot. So I understand where you're coming from there. But as Tim said, the toughest part about zoning, and I served for 3 years on planning and zoning, Ned, so that's why part of me says you fool. But it's very difficult. You got to look at the entire picture. If we make a change, if we do a text amendment for this property, as Tim said, it isn't for this property. It becomes every property in the downtown area. And that does change the character of things. You know, I'm one who truly believes that if we put our heads together, there's a solution to everything. But I don't think changing this ordinance is going to solve that problem. It creates other problems, and that's why I struggle with the whole idea.
Thank you, Councilman.
I'm just maybe thinking out loud, but I'm wondering, is there anything else that they could do, Tim, rather than a text amendment to get the covered?
I'll ditto that question.
Yeah.
No, it's a standard in the ordinance, 25%. And that's the standard. There's not an option for an exemption. There's not an option for a variance because that's the standard. So the only option is to go through this text amendment, which we directed them to do, letting them know that we would have concerns and recommendation of denial.
And let me ask a question. So the text amendment, and I know the answer to this, but the text amendment isn't just for, you can't do a text amendment just for the property. Then it has to be
it's the whole.
That's
the whole
correct.
area.
That's correct. If this is adopted tonight to change the standard, it would apply to the whole area and every development that would potentially propose that in this area.
Thanks, Tim.
Okay, I'm waiting for a motion. Okay, for lack of a motion, the ordinance will fail. So, if I have that correct, GL?
It would be nice to have a vote, and,
I'll
up or down.
I'll do that. I'll make.
Okay.
I'll move to deny the ordinance amending. Is that correct? Is that okay? Amending section 17.10.080 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to the percentage of coverage allowed for accessory buildings in the Murray City Center District.
Okay.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded.
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay. That concludes item 8.1. We'll now move to item 8.2. Public hearing number 2 will consider a resolution adopting the December 2017 Water Impact Fee Facilities Plan. Danny Astle presenting.
Thank you, Council. Taking a look at this, this is just part of our the procedures that we go through as we look at our facilities, look at our impact rates, and we put together this impact fee facilities plan overall for the water system, and as we move forward with taking a look at our impact fees, this is just part of that requirement to come before the council.
Okay. Thank you. To the public, any input or questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing portion and come to the council for questions and discussion, if any.
I'd make a motion that we adopt the resolution adopting the December 2017 Water Impact Fee Facilities Plan.
I'll second.
Motioned and seconded. Jennifer?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, that concludes 8.2. We'll now, we're going to switch 8.3 and 8.4. We're going to flip those, do the compensation before we do a budget amendment. So 8.4, we'll consider an ordinance amending section 2.06.040 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to the compensation of city council members. And we'll have Jan Lopez presenting.
I think GL's going to make some comments.
Yes, okay, that'll be great, GL.
Start off, thank you. This agenda item is an ordinance amendment to section 2.06.040, which relates to the compensation of council members. This is exclusively a legislative issue, meaning it is completely within the authority of the city council to make this decision and to pass the ordinance or not. The amendment represents a proposal to increase compensation of city council members. And I think it's important to remember that the council is free to set its own compensation. This is in contrast to city employees, for example, who go through a process, a survey process and whatnot. I believe also traditionally the city council staff has done that same thing, but the city council itself is not bound by that process. Having said that, there are reasons for this increase, I understand, and for those reasons, I'll turn the rest of the time over to Jan Lopez, the City Council Executive Director.
Thank you. I just wanted to comment that there was a memo and a comparison of compensation of other cities whose council and form of government is the same as ours. And it does show that we fall at the bottom end of those other cities. Also, last year, the council chose to increase the mayor's salary, and you benchmarked that slightly higher than the Provo mayor's salary. The city council has not increased its own salary since 1995, 22 going on 23 years. So I feel that it is appropriate at this time to increase your salary by the $4,000 that has been proposed, and you had the ordinance before you. Thank you.
Okay, we'll now open the hearing to public comment or questions. Okay, seeing none, we'll close that portion of the hearing. Come to the council for any questions or discussion.
Yeah, I don't dispute the length of time or the amount. I'm concerned a little bit about timing. This falls in line with another item that's coming up in the next public hearing. We've got a compensation study that we're in the middle of that we should get results fairly soon. And I wonder maybe if we shouldn't wait until we get all of that information also.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the council isn't attached to that.
The other is funding. Where are we going to get the money now and ongoing? I think it might be worth a little more discussion.
Denise.
The funding for the salary increases that have been proposed have been included as a reduction to the miscellaneous expense line. There was a little bit of excess funding that we put aside for things that were not addressed in the original budget. And so the budget proposal will ask to increase sales tax revenue budget and decrease the miscellaneous expense budgets that will cover all of the salary changes that are proposed in the budget amendment.
So it's not a problem. It's not going to be, we're not going to be falling short in any other area of the budget, or that's not a concern?
No, not at this time.
Okay.
Thank you, Denise.
Thank you.
I have a question, and maybe we'll have to do this another time, but I would sure love to. I guess it's just the idea when this was brought to my attention, 20-something years, that's a long time, absolutely. I don't know how to explain it, and I know, like GL said, this is what the council does, is that they make the decisions even on their own and for their own salaries, and it's very uncomfortable for me. Very, 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 very uncomfortable. Did I say very? Uncomfortable for me to do my own salary, and I know that that's the way we do it. Has there ever been is there a possibility, or is this even available to us to have like a committee, like a compensation committee, like ones that are at different, each district provides a resident, or is that even feasible or no?
Not that I've heard of. Jan provided us with information on, what other councils,
right,
how they're.
Where did you find us? You said can you go back up and we can talk, ask some of those questions? So tell us again what you did, Jan, so I can get it in my head.
So you have in your packet a comparison of elected officials with the council-mayor form of government. And these salaries, there's 10 other cities in the state. Several of them really don't apply because they're such small cities. I also noted whether those cities had a power department that they governed as well. Several do. And the information came from the Transparency website and phone calls to council directors of those cities.
Okay. And we fell where? You said on the bottom?
You fell towards the bottom of the cities that really are comparable to us. Let me see. Below Salt Lake City, below Provo, below Sandy, below Ogden.
Okay. So answering my question, that's really not what I talked about a committee. That's just not what you do.
It's our decision.
Diane's looking
It's
at me.
on us.
I know it's hard. I'll
Which
tell you.
is
You know how
why-
easy it'd be for me to say, "Yep, yep, yep, yep." That's easy, but to say "yep" to me is really hard.
Okay, any further discussion?
Yeah, if I might, I'm very uncomfortable on my first meeting voting for a raise for myself when I haven't even got my feet on the ground yet. I think we've discussed it a little bit, but I have a hard time with this as well. I think the timing with everything that's going on in Murray City, the things we have to do, the things that we're looking at, I'm not real comfortable with it myself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Cox.
I've got one more thing. I'm not against this in principle. What I would like to do is perhaps postpone this to a later date. We generally do a mid-year budget review, and we've been discussing whether we needed a mid-year budget review because often that's just 8 hours of pain for everybody. But perhaps what we should do is have in context of a budget, talk about this and along with all of the other needs of the city. Because we do have quite a few needs and we have a limited number of, amount of funding. We apparently have the money for this, but I think it would be good to sit down and say, where are we going? How are we going to build a city hall? How are we going to build a fire station? How are we going to do all of this stuff and include this in it? And get a true solid idea of where we stand financially going into next year, apparently in the next 5 years. And so, for me, rather than say no or yes, say let's let's postpone this to when can we get a mid-year budget done, meeting set up? So postpone it to the second meeting in February.
Do you want to make a motion to that effect?
I would make a motion that we postpone decision and discussion on this until the second meeting in February.
A motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and seconded. Jennifer?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, that concludes item 8.4. Now we'll move to item 8.3. Consider an ordinance amending the city's fiscal year 2017-2018 budget. Denise Steck presenting.
That comes up. Thank you. We are coming before you with a budget amendment, and as you have delayed discussion on changing the ordinance, we will be pulling one of the budget line items from the budget amendment temporarily. So I have it up on the screen here for you to go through as well. Which one that one does? Excuse me. We're asking to increase the sales tax revenue budget by $50,000. The budget that was originally included in the original budget has not been touched, and it has not shown any growth in the current year. Is that working?
It is now.
Okay. And we believe that revenues will come in a little bit higher than anticipated, so we are going to be funding some of the changes with an increase to sales tax revenue budget. We're also asking to receive and this is a funny acronym for what this is, but it's called the CATNIP grant. It comes from Salt Lake County, and it will be for the construction of a bike lane per the agreement with Salt Lake County for $132,590. So those are revenue increases to the general fund. The next line item would be to reduce the miscellaneous expense line item in its entirety. I would ask that as we strike the line for council member wage adjustments, that we adjust that miscellaneous expense line by that same amount, so that I have a net increase in the general fund of 0 by the time that we adopt this ordinance. And so that will be reducing the amount that we're going to reduce some expense by. We're asking for approval of adjustment to wages for the administration in the council office for parity between other at-will employees that are working within the mayor's office as well. The amount of that is $11,493, and that's for 6 months of the year. We're going to strike line 1E. We're going to add wages to restore a position that was removed from the budget. This position was removed to balance the budget. However, as the new mayor has taken office and reorganized the city, we found a need for that position and would strongly recommend funding the CAO's position. Again, it is not a new position. It's a position that's been included in the headcount, but it was not funded in the original budget. The next line, 1G, is to add wages for recognition, or I'm sorry, for the reorganization of administrative staff. And that has to do with the adding of the Director of Communications to the staff and changing out some of the other administration. The total is $21,675. We need to add unanticipated payout of leave time for retirements. We've had 2 retirements out of the mayor's office that have had some leave time that is due them, and it is not budgeted. Typically, we ask our department heads to find out who's going to retire, but it's sometimes hard a year in advance or even 18 months in advance. So this was completely unanticipated, and that payout was $38,020. We are going to reduce wages in the engineering department, and this is part of the savings of the reorganization in bringing the public services director into the mayor's office as a CAO. So there's some savings there of $26,593. We're allocating those catnip funds for that bike lane for $132,590. We're adding wages for administration. Tim is wanting 10 more hours out of his employee in the ADS administrative department, and it's only going to cost the city $547. He's saved us some money for a couple months. Park Center. Now, what we're doing is reorganizing a little bit. We're asking that we create a facilities department. We're consolidating the employees that are in other departments that are serving facilities. There's no net change here. There's no increase or decrease to the budget. It is merely the transfer of monies from other departments into a newly created facilities department. And that will take care of all of the buildings within the city, and Jeff Martin will be heading that department up. So we're going to be moving money out of the Park Center for some of the part-time employees that maintain the facilities, moving the staff out of the Heritage Center that maintain the facilities, moving the facilities division budget, which is currently being held in the recorder's office, and just bringing those all together into one line to maintain facilities and manage staffing for facilities. The total will be $186,644 for the facilities budget, but again, there's no net change in the general fund. So there's no financial impact, no appropriation of additional funds in the general fund to take care of all of these budget amendments. Are there any questions on the general fund budget amendments? Okay. We have a few others. We have found out that the HVAC system in the library is in severe need of repair and replacement. When the furnaces were being serviced this year to turn them on for winter, the repair technicians felt like they were below code, and they did not test them to condemn them. So we're asking that we allocate funds so that those may be tested and they may be replaced if necessary. We will be testing one at a time. We met with the library board, and they've got some incredibly technical members on that board. One of them works for Wasatch Electric and the other for an HVAC system. And so they gave us some recommendations on that. They believe that we probably would not have to replace all of them and spend all of this money. However, it would be best if we allocate it in case that need does arise, because it would be a quick fix that we would need to make. That will be $120,000 out of the library's appropriations of fund balance. We'll leave them a fund balance of about $300,000 at the end of the year after you appropriate these funds, which is pretty low. We know that the library is going to need some discussion as we prepare their budget next year. The next item is the finding that we discussed when we had the audit, that the state requires that all funds have a positive fund balance or be working their way towards a positive fund balance. And we recognize that the Murray Parkway Fund came in at a negative fund balance. Therefore, we're required by state law to make that fund whole. I'm recommending that we make that fund whole with a transfer from the CIP fund to the Murray Parkway Fund to fund the irrigation system project that was completed last year. We'll bring this fund into zero net balance, and so we'd be transferring it out of our CIP fund and into the Parkway Fund. I'm also asking for $35,000 to come out of the CIP fund to assist us in the generator repair and maintenance for City Hall. Seems like we're continually putting in money into City Hall just to get us by until we get a new one. This is one more thing. But the generators will not maintain our heating system or air system without assistance right now, and it's going to cost us about $35,000 to do so. So we're asking for that. And then the Murray Parkway Fund will receive that money and then net themselves to zero. Do you have any other questions about those changes or requests? Yes, Dale.
If I might, you go back to 1N and 1O. Were there any jobs lost there, or they just transferred?
There were absolutely no jobs lost. They were only transferred to another department. Thank you. If that's all, I'll let you discuss it. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Okay, any public input or questions? Okay, seeing none, to the council for questions or discussion. Okay, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion that we consider an ordinance amending the city's fiscal year 2017-2018 budget as presented with the changes that were mentioned.
I'll second that.
Motion and seconded. Jennifer?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, gosh. I thought, did you say Hales? Did you say Hales? Oh, good.
I was going with it. Aye.
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 Aye. Okay.
That's the first time Jennifer's ever done that.
Okay, we have no unfinished business, so we'll move now to new business, the election of a chair and a vice chair for the Murray City Municipal Council for the calendar year of 2018. So the first nomination would be for chair, and if we only have one nomination, we'll move to a voice vote. If we have two, we have a ballot in front of us, and we'll cast the ballots. So
I'll nominate Diane Turner for chair.
Okay.
I'd second that.
Okay. Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, it's approved. We'll now take a nomination for the vice chair of the Murray Municipal Council.
I'll nominate Dave Nick-Ponsky for vice chair.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. All right, we'll now move to the election of chair and vice chair for the Murray City Budget and Finance Committee for the calendar year 2018. The first action will be for a chair. Is there a motion? Might be helpful to know who the chair and vice chair are now. Could you acknowledge yourselves?
I'm chair.
I'm vice chair.
Okay, thank you.
Jim said he'll do it again, so I'm going to nominate him.
Okay, thank you, Councilwoman Turner, appreciate that. It's been nominated, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And now for the vice chair position.
I would nominate Brett Hales.
Okay,
Sure.
I'll second.
moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Now we'll take a resolution approving the mayor's appointment of representatives to boards of interlocal entities. Mayor Camp, if you would present, please.
Thank you. You have in your packet the proposed changes. I just went to highlight mode, and instead of moving the screen, I'm highlighting it. The only changes are that in this are as a result of the change in my position. I've asked Dale Cox to serve on the VEC Board of Trustees, and Doug Hill as alternate there. And then the other change was that I would serve as the alternate for the UIA board, where Diane Turner served there last time. There are no other changes on the boards, so unless you want me to read through them, if that's necessary.
Okay, motion to approve the boards of interlocal entities as proposed by the mayor.
Let's see. You can do it now? You want to do it? Okay. I'll move to approve the resolution, approving the mayor's appointment of representatives of two boards and interlocal entities.
I'll second.
Okay. Jennifer?
Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Mr. Brass?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye.
Mr. Held?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
And if I could just thank you for your willingness to serve again, all of you on these boards. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And now we'll move to the mayor for his report.
Okay, just a couple of items briefly. The next council meeting is January 16th, so I wanted to make sure that you were aware that on January 15th, on Martin Luther King Day, the Murray School District will be holding their 26th annual Human Rights Day celebration at 7 p.m. at the Murray High School Auditorium. The event is Utah's longest continuous celebration of the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. It's a great program. It includes performances of multicultural music, student commentary, and a reflection on Dr. King's life. Those of you that have attended in the past know it's a great program, and it's free and everyone's welcome. So we invite the public to come out to that. Again, that's on January 15th at 7 p.m. at Murray High School in the auditorium. And then the only other thing I was going to mention, as I mentioned earlier, welcome Dale to the council, and to you, Diane, for starting a second term today. So congratulations to both of you. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
And from the mayor's office, we want to wish all of you a happy new year, and we have a lot of things to do this year, and looking forward to working with you. And that's my report. Do you have any questions?
Questions for the mayor? Okay, we'll stand adjourned.